Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Wayne Harrell, and I've been on a hiatus for some time, and finally I'm back. The reason for a hiatus was we were trying to figure out exactly what kind of tools we want to build for you guys, especially when it comes to anxiety. And I didn't want it to build something that is general purpose, that works for everybody, right? Because if it works for everybody, then it's going to work for nobody, right? You have health anxiety, then we need to build tools specifically for health anxiety. If we have tools for financial anxiety, it has to work specifically for financial anxiety because the techniques that you use for health anxiety doesn't work for other types of anxiety. It's a different kind of thing. And I missed you guys. We've been getting quite a bunch of downloads for these episodes, especially that episode about rumination. Oh Lord, it got quite a bunch of downloads. And yeah, that was awesome. So we're doing specific series here this time, and it's going to be focused highly on health anxiety alone. And when I was on a hiatus, somebody on my team suggested we should probably have like 11 labs do the podcast, where you can just like generate a bunch of bullshit and put it on 11 labs and it generates your audio. And I was like, I don't want to do that, man. That just there's no soul in it, right? It doesn't fucking work. I mean, it's okay for a book because I ain't reading 200 pages, uh, but it's not like for a podcast. I mean, come on, I can probably do it myself. So yeah, there is that. Okay, speaking of book, I wrote a book, How to Beat Health Anxiety. It is available on Amazon, and we've been getting great reviews. It has specific techniques. You'll learn exactly what I went through, the stories, the 2 a.m. spirals, the Googling conundrums, and, not trusting doctors and all that kind of stuff. And that turned into a massive project of Quick Calm, which is an app that allows you to, slowly expose yourself to your fears. And it's specifically for health anxiety, mind you, and slowly, expose yourself to your fears, log your worries, log your Googling, and create something that you can use with your provider, with your coach, which are available now on theanxious.com/coach. And the app is also available on theanxious.com/quick calm. I'll leave the link below, but it's a fantastic app that you can use to beat health anxiety and kick its butt. Um, yeah, it's awesome. And I'd like to thank Stephanie to help me with this app, along with a couple of other peoples on our team who've created these exercises for you guys. And golly, it was incredibly difficult to get that app get approved. So we have a web version, which is like far more advanced, though something that we can't really get it done on Apple because, they have like their own rules and they don't really want you to have like these things that they might deem as therapy, even though it isn't. And we have disclaimers, but we have to nerf the app on the App Store. But you have a web version as well, so that's a little bit more advanced. So that's awesome. And the book that I wrote is also a companion, but you don't really need the app for the book to work because you can use those exercises on a pen and a notebook. I mean, that's exactly how I used to do my exercises for my anxieties, my own exposures, and I used to do them on a notebook using a pen and a pen or a pencil, right? Whatever you want. But now the app allows you to do those things in an app, so you can do that anywhere you want. You don't really need a notebook. It's funny how many people forget how to write properly, because they haven't written anything. Everybody's like typing these days. And yeah, I saw that. Like I knew I saw this kid who was like a relative of mine, and he was like writing something, and I was like, what's happening here? And it's like, it's hard to write. And I was like, why? Well, because I'm not used to it. We take notes on the laptop. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Yep. Well, anyway, so let's talk about lymph node anxiety when it comes to health anxiety. And I got my notes here. Hold on a sec. All right. Yep. There you go. Lymph node anxiety. And boy, oh boy, I've been here. Um, so let's talk about this. It's very, very easy to misdiagnose a lymph node, folks. And so what happens is that when I was a kid, I watched this show about Dr. Oz because what else am I gonna watch? It was just like playing in the background, and he was talking about lymph nodes. Like if it's swollen, you're dead. And he's talking about how if you have a swollen lymph node, it can mean cancers, all kinds of cancers. It can also mean like stage 4 cancers. Maybe you have a liver cancer, and if you have a swollen lymph node in your neck, that means it's stage 4 and you're gonna fucking die. And scared the living shit out of me. And then you read online, you Google online, and you say all kinds of things about lymph node being swollen. And then there is like another disease called Castleman's, which is like your lymph nodes becomes hard, which is the type of cancer as well. And then I'm not sure how many people die from that, but it is what it is. And also TB, tuberculosis, and other kinds of ailments. That's like lymph node, because it's the lymphatic system. That's where your white blood cells are. So when they get when you have an infection, they get swollen because there's a lot of white blood cells that they're producing and they're pumping in your body. So it's obvious, if you have an infection, your lymph nodes are likely going to get big, and then they become shorter. Not always. Sometimes they stay the same size for like long periods of time. Sometimes they just never go away. At least that's what my specialist doctor told me. So anyway, one day I was just scratching my neck. I remember like this was like okay, let's continue with this story. Um, One day I was like scratching my neck I remember I was in Dubai, in a hotel. It was a nice hotel, an incredible view. I was laying in a bed, and like scratching my neck, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" It seems like like a lymph node, like a pea-sized lymph node, like smaller than pea size. So I was like, "Shit, I think I'm gonna die," right? And this was years ago. So I was like, "Okay, I think I'm gonna die." So I ran to a specialist, an ENT specialist. I went to him and he checked it and he was like, yeah, this is like nothing, you might have some infection in the past and whatever. And yeah, that's probably why it's swollen. So yeah, like come back when it gets big. Now here's the thing. What anxious people are not just gonna, say, oh well, yeah, I'll go back if it gets big. um, they're gonna be like, holy shit. So if it's getting bigger, that means I'm gonna die or I'll have cancer. So what would end up happening is that you will start checking this thing every single day. And what's funny is that I actually know the cause of it. I had a tooth infection, which lasted for like quite some time. And I didn't took any medicine for that. It's just like, normal tooth infection, and my dentist cleared it out. Um, well, that's the thing that caused the swollen lymph node. But anyway, and this was like, 1 year. Like, it took me 1 year to notice that, by the way. Just randomly, you're scratching your neck and you notice something like that. And later, there were, I was just poking and prodding because I was freaking out. I spotted more swollen lymph node, right? Turns out they were not swollen at all. They were just normal. They were not even lymph node. They were just other things. But because we're not doctors, we don't really know any of this shit. So we just freak out. I was like, okay, this is like bad. I probably should talk to another specialist. Maybe this guy would do better testing. And I went to this guy and he said the same thing. And I went to another guy and he said like, yeah, we should probably just check it. So he wrote me a fucking the fuck did he wrote me, a CAT scan or an MRI, something like that, right? It was like very expensive. My insurance is not gonna pay for it because they're like, this is not necessary. You fucking losing your mind. So, well, anyway, so that happened. It went on for like 3 years. Of course, it didn't got bigger. But in that time, I lost my mind, right? It like everything is going crazy. I'm losing my mind. I can't think. I can't live my life. I have to plan. properly. I have to make sure that I have I have proper health insurance in case there's a fucking cancer. I want to make sure that I'm living in a place where they have like a proper hospital to deal with things like that. So I moved to Bangkok, or like originally I was gonna move to a place, but different than Bangkok. But I ended up settling there, uh, short term, temporarily, because they have like incredible healthcare over there. And yeah, so you lose your mind. It just ruins your life, because that's all that's going in your head. And you start noticing these other symptoms that are totally benign, but since you're hyper aware of everything that's going on, you start noticing these tiny ass symptoms that you would normally ignore. And there starts to freak you out. You start googling, and all kinds of other things pops up. You might have Castleton's, you might have a, I don't know, pleural infusion lymphoma, or some random bullshit. And it just goes on and on and on and on, to the point, and one day you realize this is health anxiety and you got to do something about it, or else it'll consume your life. Well, anyway, so uh what did I do to get rid of it? Um well, first of all, it was quite a bit of a struggle. When you start checking your lymph node, you lose your mind. It's almost like you're in a trance when you're checking, and you're making sure that it's not getting bigger, because that doctor said to come back when it gets bigger. It's one of the problems in the medical science area, where doctors don't really know what triggers health anxiety, so they just say random things like this. Hey, I mean, not random, it's reasonable. Come back when it gets bigger. It's not a cause of concern, but like, the patients is not going to take that, right? So better bedside manner would be, hey, listen, this is not a cause for concern. um you know um you shouldn't worry about it. This is probably caused by some previous infection, so you're free to go, and that's it. um Sometimes people would do like scans and shit like that, and they would have same conclusion. Like, one doctor actually did ultrasound, and he said, "Yeah, it's like, it's normal, dude. Come on." Um, but still, like, your anxious mind ain't gonna listen to no doctor. So, yeah, that went for 3 years. What worked? Um, I tried going to a therapist about this, and the therapist was like, it was like, he was like, like Chuck Schumer, Um, when I was like, okay, well, how does that make you feel? Do you have a fear of death? Do you have, like, okay, let's talk about your child. Okay, come on, man. Let's just, like, it's like 4 sessions, $400, right? And I don't wanna, I'll figure it out. So anyway, what worked was exposure. An exposure not to the disease in itself, but the exposure to the end result. Um, the exposure to the end thing was like, okay, if this is true, if I develop some cancer, you know, um, what then? And turns out it's all right. You'll deal with it, right? If you develop some kind of an illness, you will. It's not a problem. Sometimes what happens is that people who have health anxiety, they are often relieved when they have like some kind of illness, because it gets rid of that uncertainty, right? And the only thing that is certain in life is nothing is certain. So you just accept that. You accept, okay, you know what? I do have it. If I die tomorrow, or if I die some painful illness that's going to kill me slowly, that's okay. I accept that. And when you start meditating on that, you start exposing yourself to your fear. And when you do that often, that fear goes away. You neutralize yourself. You neutralize that fear. Um, and that's how it works. You have to accept. And that's one of the reasons why Stoics meditate on their mortality. It gets rid of all the fear in the world. And look, you might have some people who are like very dependent on you. You may be your parents, your loved ones, your children, and you can't really afford to die for their sake. But if the worst happens, um, you know, there are only two things that you can do. You can either control things you have in your life right now, maybe make plans for them, buy a better life insurance policy. I don't know. Or you can't really do anything about it, right? So it shouldn't let you mess up your life. It shouldn't let you stop you from living your life and doing your best work and being productive and being happy with your loved ones. It will take time. It will take months for you to meditate and slowly, get rid of this anxiety by facing your worst fears. And one way of doing that is through quick calm, right? You can use the app, or you can follow some of the exercises that I have in the book. And if you want some expert guidance and you want to talk to somebody about it, go to theanxious.com/coach and hire a coach, and have him help you out. So that is the lymph node anxiety, and that's how I conquer it. That doesn't mean that you cannot do it. Like, you certainly can. Everybody's different. The only thing that works is exposure. You have to expose yourself to the fear and accept it. And then, your mind thinks that, hey, this isn't okay. You know what? This isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. So maybe I shouldn't make this person freak out. See you in the next one.